Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Samuel, and today in this presentation I'll be talking about globalization and how cultural convergence happens due to globalization. I'll be explaining the positives and negatives and the consequences of such. Globalization is basically the world becoming more interconnected due to increased cultural traits transferring from one country to another and trade. The term globalization was confirmed in the 1980s, but it was before this time in the 1960s. It was confirmed that globalization explains how one country exchanged their cultural traits with another. This specific presentation will just be focusing on cultural globalization. Why? Because this is one of the most important ones, and this is the task of the presentation. So, impacts of cultural globalization. The definition: the spread of Western culture through the media, sport, art, and leisure pursuit. So impacts of cultural globalization on sports and television. As you can see, massive football teams like Real Madrid, and they link up with network companies like BT Sport. Now, the great thing about BT Sport as a network is that people from all over the world can tune into football. The Brazilians call it the wonderful game or the beautiful game. Now, this is something that everybody across the world can experience through BT Sport and other networks such as Sky Sports, etc., etc. Now, moving on to television. Nollywood. Nollywood is an adaptation of Hollywood, how we have in today movies and such. Due to cultural globalization, the Nigerians, I'm Nigerian as myself, we've adapted that Hollywood culture and made our own film and media outlet where people can now watch different Nollywood films on TV in other countries or online. So that's one way. Impacts of cultural globalization is that it keeps everybody more interconnected, and people can pick and choose ideas and copy ideas and adapt it into their own nation, which builds that greater understanding. Global sports events such as the Olympics and the World Cup has helped to push cultural globalization, because these are, as I said before, football, the Brazilians dubbed the game the beautiful game, and loads of people tune in and watch the greatest athletes in their country come together on one field to battle it out to see who's the best country at football. Now, these are different people from all over the world that come together, so that's why it pushes cultural globalization. But also, 1 billion people during the 2010 World Cup watched from their homes. Now, that's many people that are looking at new languages, looking at different cultures, because the fans are different, and that creates a lovely atmosphere for the supporters, for which they can learn and grow. And it basically shows how globalization has allowed us to be more interconnected through sports. The main bit of my presentation: what is cultural convergence? Now, the definition: cultural convergence is a term given to describe the evolution of societies and how societies and culture change over time. Now, with time, cultures are going to change, because as the population is displaced each and every year by new people being born, people learn more and they pass it on to the next generation. Now, the factors that define cultural convergence are overlapping cultures. So now let's talk about Christmas and Halloween. Christmas was originally a Roman holiday, a pagan holiday. Now today we see it as a massive commercial holiday where parents, carers fork out a lot of money in order to pay for gifts that their kids may not deserve or their family members may not deserve. Now, Christmas is a pagan holiday which is celebrated across the world. Now, we celebrate for different reasons. However, this shows cultural convergence, because in the past, during the Roman era, this was a pagan holiday that they just started for no apparent reason. However, now we attach Christmas with Jesus' birthday, when it's already been proved that was not when he was born. The Palestinian winters were too cold for a child to be born in that time. However, this is an overlapping culture with Christmas, because we celebrate it and we get different presents at that time. Now, moving on to Halloween. Halloween it was promoted by the USA. This is a time for them to dress up and walk around the street, collect candy as they call it. However, in Mexico, this is looked at the Festival of the Undying, where they celebrate the deaths of their loved ones, basically promoting life and saying, Mexicans believe that the spirits on this day walk around and they hold like massive parades and festivals to represent the dead and congratulate them for dying, but also to show that they are in a better place. Now, the next factor that defines cultural convergence is language. Mandarin is one of the most spoken languages in the world. 1 billion people speak it. And that's because Mandarin is spoken mostly in China, who have the largest population in the world. But also, English is the second biggest language spoken across the world. 580 million people speak it. Now, this helps to define cultural convergence because across the world, loads of people speak English. That's because we trade in English, also trade in Mandarin, as China is one of the biggest manufacturers in the world. And this is why certain languages are pushed throughout the world, and if we all speak the same language, we can all converge more and we can be more interconnected, and that all links back to globalization. In Europe, we all speak English. In Brazil, they speak English and have different forms. Even in Africa, they speak English. However, the English is broken to a point that they can pronounce the words and have their own sort of English, which we call it Pidgin English. So that's one definition of cultural convergence. And next is food. We've seen lately across the world, globally, the uprise of Chinese cuisine restaurants across the world and Indian cuisine restaurants. We have Chinese restaurants here. Now that is all globalization, and it shows convergence, as it shows the evolution of societies and the culture over time, as people are now dining into different foods that they may not have tried in the past. Now you see Chinese restaurants in Dubai, you see them in Africa, you see them everywhere. And finally, morals. Now this is one that I added on because the laws against gay marriage, well, laws they all come from the Bible, and with laws, they must be followed, and because as they're written by God in some religions. So the fact that gay marriage today is now becoming more accepted across the world, that's due to globalization. Because everything is more interconnected, it's like a flashlight is being shone on each and every country, and how they deal with certain themes, topics like terrorism, racism, and in this case, marriage and gay rights. In the UK, it was illegal to get married to the same sex. However, now those rules have been abolished. In the US, they celebrate gay rights, and they respect even more the people that come out and say that they're gay and want to live their life, because at the end of the day, they're human beings. This is one way cultural convergence has helped the world accept people for who they are. And although like some people that are gay in this world are mistreated in certain countries, there is hope for the future with globalization. And finally, the final definition of cultural convergence, the factors, is leisurely activities, the type of music we listen to, Afrobeats and rap. Artisans are now influenced by their nations. They're asked to draw inspiration from their nations and incorporate it into their music. Why? Because they have different fans across the world. For example, again I use J Hus as an example. He's an African rapper, UK rapper, who caters his music to UK fans, but also African fans. Sometimes, most of the time, fans today want to hear a different sound. And adding a bit of flair from your nation could determine whether you sell more in this country or abroad globally than others. For example, one person that does this successfully is Drake. Drake is a massive R&B artist who draws inspiration from different countries, working with Polish singers, working with Nigerian singers like Naira Marley and Wizkid. On to the benefits and drawbacks of cultural convergence, the consequences to say. Let's start with the benefits. So the benefits of cultural convergence is the sharing of information has allowed technology to become more advanced, which helps poorer countries to progress. This means that we see the rise of more NICs in the world. But however, the term the rich stay rich and the poor stay poor still comes into play here. However, we want to improve poor country situations so that we can all be on a similar playing field globally. Second benefit of cultural convergence is Cultured people globally are more tolerant and have knowledge of what and who is around them, which creates a more understanding global nation. This basically has to do with global rights and understanding where people come from and respecting other people's heritage, also nation. As you can tell, people are less, now that people understand what's around them, they are less like judgmental, and this creates a more peaceful and respectful world. And finally, the drawbacks of cultural convergence can lead to a loss of cultural identity for a nation as Western ideology can be forced. Now, this has all to do with a nation losing their face, losing who they are as a person because they are adopting too many Western cultures. Now, this is unlikely for countries that have a strong heritage, a strong ideology. They are influenced by the Western ideology, but they're not ruled by it. Now, I bring this back to Nigeria, who have a very strong native heritage and history there with their nation. So all kids that grow up are taught about Nigeria and what they've been through, etc. However, the ones that live in the UK, such as myself, we don't really have that heritage. So that's a drawback of cultural convergence, would be that the kids that, because global movement is easier, migration and like living in another country is really easy. You can lose out on what it is that you have at home, your heritage at home. You lose out. Like, I don't know how to speak my native tongue, which is Igbo. My parents do, but I don't, because I wasn't raised in Nigeria. So that is something that we're losing from cultural convergence. Is I'm Nigerian, but I don't know my heritage. I was raised in Britain, in England, so I only know from what I've experienced and what I see and who I interact with. That's how I learn. And finally, language differences are causing people to gravitate to more mass-speaking languages, which can lead to a language becoming extinct. Now, again, I'm Igbo, and I don't know how to speak my own native tongue, Igbo. And one thing that is happening at the moment in the Nigerian culture is people are missing out on key history lessons that defines you as a nation. I'm struggling to learn Igbo. A lot of languages are now becoming extinct because of the spread of Western ideology, and people want to speak English and Mandarin and other languages like that, French, Spanish, because those are business sector languages. To answer the main undying question, to what extent is globalization leading to cultural convergence? To a massive extent, I agree with this statement because globalization is leading to a massive cultural convergence. The world is becoming more interconnected, and as we grow and as we progress and as our generations keep progressing forward, it will become even more connected. Transport, through the media, through sports. My name has been Samuel, and this has been my presentation. I hope you enjoyed. I'll be taking any questions now.